Marcus Chun stood at the large window, watching his two daughters press their small faces against the thick glass. Below them, in a huge outdoor area, dozens of alien creatures moved around in heavy chains. The 8-year-old Emma had her nose squished flat against the window. Her 10-year-old sister Sarah pointed at different aliens and whispered excitedly. The Galactic Rehabilitation Station orbited a distant planet. It was a cold metal place that housed the most dangerous alien criminals in the galaxy. These creatures had fought against humans in various wars. Now they were prisoners, waiting for something called the selection ceremony. Marcus did not want to be here. He had tried to avoid this day for months. But the law was clear. When a human soldier died fighting aliens, their family could choose one prisoner to serve them. The Galactic Council called it an honor. Marcus called it twisted. His wife Linda had died 6 months ago in the Centauri conflict. A plasma blast had torn through her ship during a rescue mission. She had been trying to save civilian families when the alien attack came. Now Marcus was alone with 2 young girls who missed their mother every day. The selection officer walked up to them. His name was Johnson, and he wore a clean blue uniform covered in medals. He had done this ceremony hundreds of times before. His smile was practiced and cold. "Commander Chun," Johnson said, "are you ready to make your selection?" Most families choose something small and useful. A translator, maybe. Or a maintenance worker. Marcus nodded but said nothing. He watched his daughters point at different aliens below. There were many types down there. Some looked like giant insects. Others resembled walking plants. A few had too many arms or eyes in strange places. Most of the creatures were small and looked harmless. They had been workers or low-level soldiers before their capture. These aliens moved slowly and kept their heads down. Their chains were light, more for show than real control. But in the far corner of the yard stood something different. It was massive. 9 feet tall with thick dark armor covering its body. 6 yellow eyes looked around with sharp intelligence. Its arms ended in claws that could tear through metal. Heavy chains wrapped around its entire body, and a thick metal collar circled its neck. This was a Zethkari. Marcus had seen them in military files, but never in person. They were apex predators from a harsh world. In the war, just one Zethkari could destroy an entire human base. This particular one had a reputation. Marcus could see the name Thakmer written on a sign near its cage. Warlord Thakmer had killed thousands of humans. He had destroyed 3 colony ships and tortured prisoners for fun. Military reports said he enjoyed hunting human children most of all. "Look at that one, Daddy," Emma said suddenly. She pointed directly at the massive Zethkari. Marcus felt his blood turn to ice. "No, sweetheart. Look at the smaller ones. See that pretty blue one over there?" But Sarah had noticed the same creature. "He looks sad, Daddy. Look at his eyes." Marcus looked. The alien's 6 eyes were indeed focused on something, but Marcus could not tell what it was thinking. To him, those eyes looked dangerous and calculating. "Girls, listen to me," Marcus said quietly. "That thing is very dangerous. It hurt many people before coming here." Johnson stepped closer. His face had gone pale when he heard what the girls wanted. "Commander, I must strongly advise against that choice. Thutmer is our highest security prisoner. He has killed more humans than any other alien in custody." Emma turned to look at the officer. "But he is all alone. Nobody talks to him. The other aliens stay away from him." This was true. The yard below showed a clear empty space around the Zethkari. Even other dangerous aliens gave him room. He sat by himself, chains keeping him in one corner. "That is because he is extremely dangerous," Johnson explained. "The neural collar on his neck prevents him from attacking directly. But these creatures are smart. They find ways around the controls. Sarah tugged on Marcus's uniform sleeve. "Daddy, we want that one, please." Marcus felt panic rising in his chest. His military training told him this was insane. His father's instinct told him to protect his daughters. But another part of him, the part that remembered Linda's kindness to all living things, wondered why his daughters saw something different. Why him? Marcus asked his girls, "Tell me why you want that specific alien." Emma looked back at the Zethkari through the window. "Because nobody else does. Mommy always said we should help the lonely ones." This hit Marcus like a physical blow. Linda had indeed taught their daughters to care for outcasts. She had brought home stray animals and helped wounded birds. She had always seen the good in everything. Johnson tried again. "Commander, please reconsider. We have excellent translators available. Some can cook human food. Others can fix machines. Why choose something that could kill you all?" Marcus studied his daughters' faces. They were not being foolish or dramatic. They looked serious and determined. Something about the alien below had touched them in a way he could not understand. What exactly would happen if we chose him? Marcus asked. Johnson pulled out a datapad. Thugmar would be transported to your home under maximum security. He would be fitted with additional control devices. Armed guards would escort him. Your house would need special reinforcement. And then? Then he would serve your family according to his programming. Cleaning, basic repairs, food preparation. The neural collar ensures he cannot directly harm family members. But Commander, Johnson's voice dropped to a whisper. Accidents happen. These creatures are strong and violent by nature. Marcus looked down at the alien again. Tutmer had not moved from his corner. His 6 eyes continued to scan the yard with predatory awareness. Marcus could see old battle scars on his armor. This was a killer, pure and simple. But his daughter saw something else entirely. We want him, Daddy, Sarah said firmly. Please? Emma nodded in agreement. We will take good care of him. Marcus Chen, decorated military commander and veteran of 3 alien conflicts, found himself defeated by 2 small girls who saw loneliness instead of danger. Against every logical thought in his mind, he turned to Johnson. Prepare the paperwork, Marcus said quietly. We choose Thekmer. Johnson stared at him with shock and fear. Commander, I will need you to sign multiple waivers. This decision is highly irregular. I understand. As they walked away from the window, Marcus took one last look at the alien that would soon enter their home. Thekmer seemed to sense the attention. All 6 eyes turned upward to the observation deck where they stood. For a moment, human and alien looked directly at each other through the thick glass. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. What had he just agreed to? The paperwork took 3 hours to complete. Marcus sat in a small office while his daughters played in the waiting area nearby. Officer Johnson brought form after form for him to sign. Each document had warnings printed in red letters. This form states that you understand Thekmer has killed 200,000 humans, Johnson said. Sliding another paper across the desk, Marcus signed it without reading. This one says you accept full responsibility if the alien harms anyone. Marcus signed that one too. Johnson's voice grew more worried with each form. Commander, there are other options available. We have a Mallory translator who speaks 12 languages. Very gentle species. Or perhaps a Gornak engineer. They are excellent with mechanical repairs. Emma ran over to the desk. We don't want those ones. We want Z. Z? Johnson asked. That's what we named him, Sarah explained, joining her sister. His real name is too hard to say. Johnson looked at Marcus with pleading eyes. Commander, please think about this. Zethkari are not pets. They are not servants. They are killing machines that have been temporarily stopped by technology. Marcus set down his pen and looked at the officer. Tell me about his capture. How did we take him alive? Johnson pulled up files on his computer screen. It took a full battleship assault. Tubmer had barricaded himself in a civilian shelter on Kepler 7. He was using human families as shields. Our forces had to use stun weapons only, which gave him time to kill 43 more people before going down. The details made Marcus sick, but his daughters continued to play nearby, completely unafraid. What happened to him after capture? Marcus asked. Standard imprisonment and conditioning. The neural collar was installed to prevent aggressive behavior. He was taught basic tasks and given simple commands to follow. The process took 8 months. Has he hurt anyone since capture? Johnson hesitated. Not directly, but there have been incidents. He crushed a guard's hand during transport, claimed it was an accident. Another time, he broke a security door by pulling on it too hard. Emma appeared at Marcus's elbow again. Can we see Z before we take him home? Absolutely not, Johnson said quickly. Direct contact before transport is forbidden. Too dangerous. But Marcus found himself curious about the same thing. What would happen if we did meet him? Safely, I mean. Johnson shook his head firmly. It's against all protocols. The neural collar controls him, but proximity to potential victims can cause unpredictable reactions. Some Zidane have been known to test their limits when they sense weakness. Marcus thought about his military experience. He had interrogated alien prisoners before. Most showed clear signs of fear or anger. They were easy to read. But something about Thekmer seemed different. The way he sat alone in the yard. The careful way he moved. It was almost like he was thinking about something important. What does he do all day? Marcus asked. Johnson pulled up security footage on his screen. He sits in his cell mostly. Sometimes he exercises, but slowly, like he's being careful not to trigger the collar's pain response. He eats when food is brought. He follows orders when given. Does he speak? Basic words only. Yes and no mostly. He understands human language perfectly, but chooses not to use it much. Sarah climbed onto Marcus's lap. Daddy, why is everyone so scared of Z? Marcus struggled to explain. Because he hurt many people before, sweetheart. People are worried he might hurt more people. But he can't hurt us, right? Because of the collar thing? That's right, Johnson interrupted. The neural collar prevents direct violence against family members. But there are other ways he could cause harm. He could break things. He can open doors that should stay closed. He could fail to protect you if danger comes. This last point made Marcus think. As a single father, he worried about home security constantly. Earth colonies were generally safe, but pirates and raiders sometimes attacked isolated homes. Having a powerful alien in the house might actually be useful. What about maintenance? Marcus asked. You said he could do repairs? Basic tasks only. The neural programming includes mechanical skills. He can fix simple machines, clean efficiently, and prepare food according to instructions. Emma perked up. He can cook? Johnson nodded reluctantly. Zethkari have excellent motor control. The collar ensures he cannot poison food or use kitchen tools as weapons. Marcus realized his daughters had already made this decision in their hearts. Nothing he said would change their minds. They had seen something in that alien that spoke to them. Linda had always taught them to trust their instincts about people. Could that apply to aliens too? The final form was the transport agreement. This describes the security measures for moving Thekmer to your home, Johnson explained. Armed escort, reinforced transport vehicle, and immediate installation of home security systems. Marcus read this one carefully. The list was extensive. motion sensors, emergency barriers, automated weapon systems, and a direct communication link to military response teams. How much does all this cost? Marcus asked. The Galactic Council covers expenses for war widow families. You pay nothing. Marcus signed the transport form and sat back in his chair. It was done. In 48 hours, the most dangerous alien criminal in custody would be living in his home with his 2 young daughters. Johnson gathered the paperwork with shaking hands. Commander, I have to ask one more time. Are you absolutely certain about this decision? Before Marcus could answer, both girls spoke together. Yes. Johnson looked defeated. Then I will begin preparations immediately. The transport team will contact you tomorrow with arrival details. As they left the station, Marcus felt a strange mixture of terror and curiosity. His military mind cataloged all the ways this could go wrong. His father's heart worried about his children's safety. But another part of him wondered if his daughters might be right about something the rest of the galaxy had missed. During the shuttle ride home, Emma fell asleep in her seat. Sarah stayed awake, looking out the window at the stars. Daddy? She said quietly. Yes? Do you think Z remembers his family? The question surprised Marcus. What makes you ask that? He looked so sad. Like when we miss Mommy. Marcus had never considered that aliens might experience grief the same way humans did. Military files focused on threat assessment and combat capabilities. They never mentioned emotions or personal loss. I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe he does. Sarah nodded thoughtfully. I think he needs a family again. That's why we picked him. As their shuttle approached Earth's atmosphere, Marcus realized his daughters had not just chosen an alien servant. They had chosen to take on a project that might be impossible. They wanted to heal something that everyone else considered broken, beyond repair. The question was whether their optimism would get them all killed. The transport convoy arrived at dawn. Marcus watched from his kitchen window as 3 military vehicles pulled into his driveway. Armed soldiers jumped out and began setting up a security perimeter around his house. The neighbors across the street peeked through their curtains, but stayed inside. The girls pressed their faces to the front window, trying to see everything. Emma bounced with excitement while Sarah watched with serious concentration. Is that Z's truck? Emma asked. Marcus pointed to the largest vehicle in the middle. That's a containment transport. He's inside that one. The truck was massive and painted military gray. Thick armor covered all surfaces, and small slits served as windows. Warning lights flashed on top, and Marcus could see armed guards positioned around it. Captain Torres, the transport commander, knocked on the front door. She was a tall woman with stern features and multiple service medals on her uniform. Commander Chun, she said formally, we need to discuss security protocols before unloading the prisoner. Marcus invited her inside while the girls continued watching from the window. Torres spread out blueprints of their house on the kitchen table. We have installed motion sensors in every room, she explained. Emergency barriers can seal off sections of the house instantly. There are panic buttons in each bedroom and the kitchen. She pointed to different areas on the blueprint. Weapon caches here, here, and here. If the neural collar fails, these will activate automatically. What about the girls? Marcus asked. They each have personal emergency beacons. If they press the button, military response teams will arrive within 6 minutes. Emma ran over to the table. Can we see Z now? Torres looked uncomfortable. The prisoner must be secured in his designated area first. We will install him in the basement workshop according to regulations. The basement? Sarah protested. That's cold and dark down there. It's the safest location, Torres replied firmly. Reinforced walls, single exit point, and isolated from family living areas. Marcus looked at the basement plans. It was essentially a prison cell with work tools. The alien would sleep on a metal platform and spend his days maintaining house systems from below. What about meals? Marcus asked. Food delivery slot here. Torres pointed to a small opening. The prisoner will eat standard ration packs. No direct food interaction with family members. The girls listened to this with growing unhappiness. This was not what they had imagined when they chose their alien. The unloading process took 2 hours. Marcus watched from the porch as soldiers surrounded the transport vehicle. They activated energy shields and prepared stun weapons before opening the rear door. Sakmer emerged slowly. He was even larger than Marcus remembered. The alien moved carefully in his heavy chains, his 6 eyes scanning everything around him. The neural collar on his neck blinked with warning lights. The girls tried to run outside, but Marcus held them back. Wait until he's secured, he said gently. It was difficult to watch. The soldiers treated Thotmer like a dangerous cargo rather than a living being. They prodded him with shock sticks when he moved too slowly. They shouted orders in harsh voices. The alien followed directions without resistance, but Marcus could see intelligence and awareness in those 6 eyes. When they led Thakmer down to the basement, Emma began to cry. They're being mean to him. It's for safety, sweetheart, Marcus explained. Though he felt uncomfortable too, the installation process continued until evening. Torres tested every security system twice and briefed Marcus on emergency procedures. When everything was finally complete, the transport team prepared to leave. The prisoner is now your responsibility, Torres told Marcus. He has been programmed with basic household tasks. The neural collar will ensure compliance with all orders from family members. After the soldiers left, the house felt strangely quiet. Marcus made dinner while the girls did homework, but everyone kept glancing toward the basement door. Can we go see him now? Sarah asked during dinner. Marcus had been dreading this question. Tomorrow. Let him get settled first. The first night was tense. Marcus barely slept, listening for any sounds from below. The house security system beeped softly every hour, confirming that Thakmer remained in his designated area. The next morning brought their first real interaction. Marcus opened the basement door and called down. Thakmer, I need you to fix the kitchen sink. Heavy footsteps climbed the basement stairs. Thakmer appeared in the doorway, moving slowly and carefully. Up close, he was even more intimidating. His dark armor reflected the kitchen lights, and his claws clicked softly against the floor. Sink, Marcus said, pointing toward the kitchen. The alien nodded once and walked to the sink. His movements were precise and controlled. He examined the problem, retrieved tools from a kitchen drawer, and began repairs. The work was completed efficiently and without unnecessary noise. Emma and Sarah watched from the hallway, fascinated. When Thakmer finished, he turned to leave. Wait, Emma said suddenly. The alien stopped and looked at her with all 6 eyes. What's your favorite color? She asked innocently. Thakmer stared at her for a long moment. His mouth moved slightly, as if he were trying to remember how to form words. Red, he said finally. His voice was deep and gravelly. Emma smiled brightly. Mine too. This became the pattern. Each day, Marcus would assign Thakmer simple tasks around the house. The alien would complete them with mechanical precision. But the girls began talking to him during his work. They started small. Good morning, Z. Thank you for fixing that. Do you like our house? At first, Thakmer only answered with single words or nods. But gradually, his responses grew longer. Sarah showed him her drawings. This is our family. Daddy, me, Emma, and you. The drawing showed 4 stick figures holding hands. One was much larger than the others and colored black. Thakmer studied the picture carefully. Good, he said quietly. Emma began bringing him snacks while he worked. Do you get hungry like we do? Yes. Do you have a favorite food? Thekmer paused his work on a broken cabinet. Meat, but vegetables are acceptable. The girls found this hilarious. Soon they were sharing their lunch vegetables with him, and he would accept them politely. Marcus watched these interactions with growing amazement. The alien that military reports described as a ruthless killer was carefully adjusting his behavior around children. When the girls got too close to his work area, he would pause until they moved to safety. When they dropped toys near him, he would gently place them aside rather than stepping over them. Most remarkably, Thekmer began to anticipate their needs. He would finish his assigned tasks early and then do additional work that made the house more comfortable. He repaired a squeaky hinge on Emma's bedroom door without being asked. He fixed a loose board on the back porch that Sarah had mentioned was wobbly. 3 weeks after his arrival, Marcus discovered something that changed everything. He came home early from work and heard voices in the kitchen. Peering around the corner, he saw Thekmer sitting at the table with both girls. Emma was showing him how to color inside the lines of a picture book. Sarah was teaching him to count to 10 in English. The alien was participating patiently, his massive claws holding tiny crayons with surprising delicacy. Nosy, Emma giggled. The sky is blue, not purple. Blue, Thekmer repeated carefully, selecting a different crayon. Marcus realized that his daughters were not just living with a controlled alien prisoner. They were making friends with someone who had forgotten how to be anything other than a weapon. That evening, after the girls were asleep, Marcus went down to the basement. Thekmer sat on his metal sleeping platform, examining a small drawing Emma had given him. "They like you," Marcus said quietly. Thekmer looked up with his 6 eyes. For the first time, Marcus saw something other than predatory awareness in that gaze. He saw uncertainty, confusion, and perhaps even gratitude. "They are small," Thekmer said slowly. "Fragile, but not afraid. Should they be afraid?" Thekmer considered this question for a long time. "Yes," he finally admitted. "But I do not want them to be." Marcus realized that something fundamental had changed. The alien in his basement was no longer just following neural programming. He was making choices based on what would make 2 human children happy. The question was, what did that mean for all of them? The attack came on a quiet Tuesday night. Marcus was reading in his bedroom when the house security system began screaming. Red lights flashed in every room as warning sirens wailed. He grabbed his plasma rifle from the bedside table and ran to check on his daughters. Emma and Sarah were huddled together in Sarah's bed, frightened by the noise. Marcus quickly gathered them in his arms and carried them toward the basement safe room. "What's happening, Daddy?" Emma asked, her voice shaking. "Bad people are trying to get into our house," Marcus explained as calmly as possible. "We need to hide until help comes." The basement safe room was located next to Thekmer's quarters. As they descended the stairs, Marcus could see the alien standing alert in his area. All 6 eyes tracked their movement, and his body was tense with readiness. Marcus sealed the safe room door and activated the emergency beacon. The small underground chamber contained supplies for several days and a direct communication link to military response teams. "Emergency beacon activated," a mechanical voice announced. "Response time, 37 minutes. 37 minutes felt like forever. Marcus held his daughters close and listened to sounds from above. Heavy boots moved through the house. Voices shouted orders in a language he did not recognize. Then came a new sound, controlled explosions. The attackers were breaching the reinforced security barriers one by one. "Daddy, I'm scared," Sarah whispered. Marcus checked his rifle charge and counted his spare power cells. He had enough ammunition for a short fight, but not enough to hold off a serious assault for 37 minutes. Through the safe room's small window, He could see Thekmer in the next chamber. The alien's neural collar was flashing rapidly as the security system detected potential threats above. His programming would normally keep him in his quarters during an emergency, but Marcus could see the tension in his massive frame. The explosions grew louder. The attackers had reached the main floor and were working their way down. Marcus realized they were not random pirates. These people knew exactly where to find the family. They had studied the house layout and security systems. A new voice echoed through the basement, speaking in accented English. "We know you have the Zethkari down there. Release him to us, and we will let your family live." Marcus felt cold understanding wash over him. These were not thieves or raiders. They were enemy agents who had come specifically for Thekmer. The alien was not just a servant in their home. He was a target. "Commander Chun," the voice continued, "we know you can hear us. We represent the Hegemony Liberation Front. That creature belongs to our cause, not as your family's slave." Emma looked up at Marcus with wide eyes. "They want to take Z away?" Before Marcus could answer, another explosion rocked the basement. The attackers had reached the security door at the bottom of the stairs. Heavy plasma cutters began burning through the reinforced metal. Marcus looked at his small family in the dim, emergency lighting. 2 frightened girls who trusted him to protect them. 30 minutes until military help arrived. Unknown number of enemy soldiers with advanced weapons. His eyes moved to Thekmer's chamber. The alien stood perfectly still, but Marcus could see him watching the security door. The neural collar controlled his aggressive instincts, but it also prevented him from defending anyone, including himself. On Marcus's belt was a small remote control device. Captain Torres had given it to him during the installation process. "Emergency neural collar release," she had explained. "Only use this if the collar malfunctions and threatens the alien's life." But Marcus understood its real purpose. In extreme circumstances, he could choose to free the most dangerous predator in the sector. The security door glowed red-hot as the plasma cutters worked. Voices grew louder in the stairwell. Someone was giving orders to prepare for final breach. "Daddy," Sarah said quietly, "what happens if the bad people take Z?" Marcus thought about what the Hegemony Liberation Front would do with a freed Zethkari warlord. Thekmer's military knowledge and killing abilities would make him a devastating weapon against human colonies. Thousands of innocent people would die, but freeing him here, in a basement with 2 small children, could be just as deadly. The security door began to buckle. Bright light shined through growing gaps in the metal. The attackers would break through in minutes. Marcus looked at Thekmer one more time. The alien's 6 eyes met his through the chamber window. For just a moment, Marcus saw something that made his decision clear in those alien eyes. He saw the same protectiveness that he felt for his own daughters. Thekmer was not just following programming anymore. He genuinely cared about Emma and Sarah's safety. "Girls," Marcus said quietly, "close your eyes and cover your ears. Don't look up until I tell you it's safe." He pulled the neural collar remote from his belt. His finger hovered over the release button as the security door exploded inward. Armed figures in black, combat armor poured through the doorway. 6 soldiers with advanced weapons and full tactical gear. Their leader pointed a rifle directly at the safe room window. "Open that door." "Commander, now." Marcus pressed the remote button. The neural collar around Thekmer's neck fell to the floor. With a soft click, what happened next defied everything Marcus thought he knew about Zethkari. Nature. Thekmer did not roar in rage or immediately attack. Instead, he moved with fluid, almost silent grace. One moment, he was in his chamber. The next, he was behind the lead soldier. His massive claws wrapped around the man's weapon and carefully twisted it, away without harming him. The other soldiers spun to engage, but Thekmer was already moving. He flowed between them like water, disarming each one with precise, controlled movements. When they drew backup weapons, he disabled those too. When they tried to activate grenades, he gently removed the devices from their hands. Not one soldier was killed. Several had broken bones from being restrained too firmly. All were unconscious within 90 seconds. The basement fell silent except for the quiet breathing of the defeated attackers. Marcus opened the safe room door cautiously. Thekmar stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by disabled enemies. His 6 eyes immediately fixed on Emma and Sarah. "Small ones safe?" he asked quietly. Both girls ran to him and hugged his massive legs. Emma looked up at his face with adoring eyes. "Thank you for protecting us, Z." Thekmar gently patted their heads with claws that could tear through starship armor. "Always protect small ones," he rumbled. Marcus stared at the scene in amazement. The most feared alien warrior in the galaxy was being hugged by 2 human children, and he was handling them like fragile flowers. Then Marcus noticed something else. Several of the unconscious soldiers had small devices attached to their armor. Communication equipment that was still transmitting. He could hear voices speaking in the same accented English as before. "Team 1, report status." "Did you secure the target?" Marcus realized that this had been just the first wave. More attackers were coming, and now they would know that Thekmar was free. The real battle was about to begin. The voices from the communication devices grew more urgent. Marcus could hear multiple teams coordinating their approach to the house. This was not a simple raid. It was a full military operation. "Team 1 is down," a voice reported. "The target has been released from neural control." "Understood," came the reply. All teams switched to elimination protocol. The experiment has gone too far. Marcus felt a chill. "Experiment?" he asked aloud. Thekmar was examining one of the communication devices with obvious intelligence. His 6 eyes focused on Marcus with an expression that might have been concern. "Not good," the alien said simply. "Many more coming. Different weapons this time." Emma tugged on Marcus's uniform. "What's an experiment, Daddy?" Before Marcus could answer, Thekmar moved to the basement windows. His enhanced senses detected movement outside that human eyes could not see. 12 soldiers surrounding house, he reported quietly. Heavy weapons. Energy barriers. They prepared to destroy everything inside. The communication device crackled again. "Command, this is Team Leader Voss. The human family must be eliminated along with the target." They have witnessed the transformation process. Marcus began to understand. They were watching us, weren't they? This whole time. Thekmar nodded grimly. Your people do not know what they have created. Galaxy fears this more than your weapons. Sarah looked confused. What did we create, Z? The alien knelt down to her level, his massive frame still towering over the small girl. You created family, made killer into protector. This should not be possible. Heavy explosions began above them. The attackers were no longer trying to capture anyone alive. They were attempting to destroy all evidence of what had happened in this house. Marcus grabbed his daughters and moved toward the deepest part of the basement. But Thekmar gently blocked their path. Cannot hide, he said calmly. They will burn everything. Must fight. I can't ask you to risk your life for us. Marcus protested. Thekmar looked at him with something that might have been amusement. Not your choice. Small ones are my family now. Family protects family. The alien moved toward the basement stairs with deadly purpose. But he stopped and looked back at the girls. Emma, Sarah, do not watch what comes next. Cover ears also. Both girls nodded solemnly. They had learned to trust their alien friend completely. What followed was unlike any battle Marcus had ever witnessed. Thakmer did not charge mindlessly into combat like the military reports suggested his species would do. Instead, he moved with calculated precision through the house. Marcus followed at a distance, keeping his daughters safely behind him. Through doorways, he caught glimpses of the fighting above. Thakmer encountered the assault teams with strategies no Zethkari had ever used before. He avoided killing when possible, but was utterly ruthless when necessary. Most importantly, he fought to protect rather than simply destroy. When soldiers fired weapons toward the basement stairs, Thakmer positioned himself as a shield. When they tried to use gas weapons, he sealed off ventilation systems to protect the family below. When they attempted to collapse parts of the house, he reinforced support beams with his own body. The battle lasted only 15 minutes, but it felt like hours. When the sounds finally stopped, Thakmer returned to the basement. He had several new wounds, but moved with the same careful grace around the children. "All safe now," he announced quietly. Emma ran to him immediately. "Are you hurt, Z?" "Small hurts only. Heal quickly." Sarah examined one of his wounds with serious concentration. "We should put bandages on these." As the girls fussed over their alien protector, Marcus explored the house above. What he found changed everything he thought he understood about the galaxy. The attackers had been carrying advanced recording equipment. Not weapons cameras for tactical purposes, but scientific instruments designed to document behavioral changes. Computer files on their devices contained months of surveillance data. The Hegemony Liberation Front had been monitoring dozens of human families with alien servants. They were specifically studying families where children were involved. The data showed something that terrified them. Every single dangerous alien species became less violent when exposed to human children over time. Not just compliant or controlled, but fundamentally different in their nature. Zethkari learned patience. Scalos developed empathy. Mordain began creating art instead of weapons. But the most disturbing discovery was in the classified files. The Hegemony had tested this phenomenon with captured human children and adult alien prisoners. The results were consistent. Humans possessed some unique ability to alter the basic psychological structure of other species through prolonged peaceful contact. Marcus found a partially transmitted message that had been interrupted by the attack. The human contamination effect is spraying faster than projected. Recommendation: immediate sterilization of all affected subjects before the transformation becomes permanent. If this ability develops further, human influence could destabilize the entire galactic power structure. When Marcus returned to the basement, he found his daughters teaching Thakmer how to play a simple card game. The alien was holding tiny playing cards in his massive claws and following rules with patient concentration. "Z, you have to put down a red card next," Emma explained. "Red card," Thakmer repeated. Carefully selecting from his hand, Marcus sat down with them at the small table. "Thakmer, did you know what was happening to you? The changes, I mean." The alien considered this question while studying his cards. Knew something different. First time in many years. Not hungry for violence. Small ones showed different way to be. The other aliens in the selection yard, Marcus continued. Were they changing too? Some. Mostly the ones chosen by families with young humans. Others remained same. Sarah played her next card and looked up at Marcus. "Daddy, are we in trouble for making Z different?" Marcus realized that his daughters had accidentally participated in something that could reshape galactic civilization. Humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or military tactics. It was their ability to see potential for good in anything and nurture that potential until it became reality. The communication devices were still receiving transmissions from other Hegemony teams. Similar attacks were happening on a dozen worlds where human families had alien servants. The enemy was trying to eliminate all evidence of humanity's transformative influence, but it was already too late. The files showed that thousands of families across human space had been unconsciously conducting the same experiment with their alien household members. Children especially seemed to have an instinctive ability to connect with and change the nature of other species. As dawn approached, military response teams finally arrived at Marcus's house. They found a scene that challenged everything they thought they knew about aliens and humans. Thekmer sat peacefully at a kitchen table, playing cards with two small girls, while their father watched with protective alertness. The most feared alien warrior in captivity was carefully arranging colorful game pieces and asking permission before touching anything. Captain Torres led the response team. She stared at the scene in shock. "Commander Chun, why is the prisoner unrestrained?" "Because he's not a prisoner anymore," Marcus replied calmly. "He's family." Torres noticed the disabled attackers throughout the house. "Did he do this?" "He protected us," Emma said proudly. "Z is the best protector in the whole galaxy." The alien gently patted Emma's head with one massive claw. "Small ones protected first. Everything else secondary." As the response teams began investigating the attack, Marcus realized that this was just the beginning. Word would spread about what had happened here. Other families would begin to understand their own alien servants differently. Children across human space would continue to work their unconscious magic on species that were supposed to be irredeemably violent. The hegemony had tried to stop this transformation through force. But violence could not undo what love and acceptance had created. They had been fighting the wrong war all along. Marcus looked at his daughters, playing with their alien friend, and understood why the galaxy feared humanity. Not because humans were the most dangerous warriors, but because they were the most dangerous healers. They could turn enemies into family. And once that transformation began, it could not be stopped or reversed. Thekmer had stopped being a weapon the moment two small girls decided he needed a home. Now he was something new, a guardian who chose protection over violence, patience over rage, and love over conquest. The real question was, what would happen when the rest of the galaxy realized that every dangerous alien could be